So at the time of writing this, FNaF Security Breach is scheduled to come out in less than a week from now. This obviously excites me, much like it probably excites all of you. This game has been teased ever since late 2019. I think everyone thought that this game was going to be that Into Madness project that was talked about years ago but was never followed up on. Yeah, am I the only one who remembered that? Anyways, this game has been anticipated for more than 2 years now, which doesn't sound like much, but when you take into consideration that the fans of this series are used to getting multiple games a year, it kind of feels like an eternity since we got Help Wanted almost 2 years ago. With delay after delay and promises that the game was getting much larger and more polished, we finally know exactly when the game is coming out. As much as I am excited for this game to finally release, I am all the more worried about what this game could mean for the future of the brand, and what this game failing may mean for the series going forward. Let me get this out of the way though, this is not a video saying that Security Breach is doomed to be bad. The game isn't out. I'm only going off of the very few images, videos, and leaks we have gotten throughout the past years. But speaking of which, it is really crazy how much build-up there was for this game. So much of mine, and I assume many other people's lives, have changed drastically since the announcement of this game, and it's crazy that how even throughout all of that, this has been on all of our back burners for the longest time now, and the fact that we are at the home stretch is so insane. So with all of our excitement in hand, I thought it would be due to give a pre-launch conversation on what we know, and honestly, why we should be a little bit worried. Now you may ask why out of now, would we want to be worried about the state of the game? We've seen all the Steam posts Scott has made with promises that the game is only getting bigger than originally planned and that Steelwell is putting so much effort into making the game as great as it can be, with the inclusion of Nvidia's ray tracing tools as well as the obvious community feedback showing that the game has made several improvements to things such as models and environments. And yes, these are all great things. With how many failures there have been recently in the AAA world of games, this seems like it's going to be an extremely nice breath of fresh air. I wouldn't fault you for thinking that way either. This video is meant to just serve on how this game will, without debate, change Five Nights at Freddy's forever, what a positive or negative reception could mean for the series, and the future of Five Nights as a whole. This is why FNaF Security Breach should scare you. It's no secret that Security Breach will be a huge detour from the formula that we've been used to. After 7 years, this series has finally made the biggest innovation in gaming history: walking. Jokes aside though, it is going to be crazy to finally play an official FNaF game with full free movement. This is something that a lot of fan games have done countless of times to varying success, and I have no doubt that Steelwell made a super impressive and fun map to roam around and complete missions in. Something that I am very afraid of though is the fact that this game is no doubt very, very ambitious. We have to remember that up until this point, Steelwell has only made VR games. That's not a way to say that they can't make anything else, but this is going to be at least 100 times bigger than Help Wanted, and it seems like that was already a huge undertaking that they managed to pull off. And judging that this game is more than double the storage size of Resident Evil Village, it's safe to say that this game will have a ton of content. Either that or Steelwell is very bad at file compression, but hey, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt in this case. They did say that they will be working on file compression down the road, so that's a good thing. So while editing this video, King Carter has tweeted that the file size of Security Breach has actually increased from 70 gigs to 80. I don't know how you increase the file size by another 10 gigabytes right before the game launches, but whatever, looks like I have to completely delete my storage now. Going forward, I will sort my predictions into 3 categories: gameplay, story, and impact. At the very end, I'll give my final thoughts and why you should or shouldn't be worried. And remember, everything in this video is 100% speculation. I think that goes without saying, but I don't want someone to come back here in like 3 months' time and tell me how I was wrong about Glamrock Freddy being DLC for Titanfall 3 or something. So just remember that everything I say in this video is going off of the information that we have right before the game comes out. And with that being said, let's get into the gameplay predictions. So I'll make this section a bit brief, but what I think will happen is that we'll only be playing as Gregory throughout this game. I was flip-flopping for the idea that we may play as a security guard and Gregory, but the more proof going towards the guard being Vanny also makes me second guess that. I have a feeling that you'll be able to find various items to use to passively defend yourself, like something to throw to distract an animatronic or something like that. You'll probably mainly find these throughout the environment, but I also think that there will be a currency system with tickets or fast coins or something like that that will allow allow you to buy items to help you progress through the game. Glamrock Freddy control will allow you to get around disguised, but will have a limited battery life, meaning that you'll need to find batteries around the map to continuously use them. From the Dawko interview, we got confirmation that the game is going to take place all in one night, with every hour being a significant chapter in the story. From a lot of promotional media that we've been given, we can also infer that Glamrock Chica will probably be the main aggressor for the first hour, as she is seen prevalently throughout the gameplay footage we've received. If I had to give a rough estimate on how long it will take to beat the game, I'll say anywhere around 6 to 8 hours to beat the campaign, and about 12 to 14 hours to do everything. Again, these are very rough estimates. The game could also be much longer or much shorter to complete. Something that I don't hear a lot of people talking about, but what I feel will make an appearance is a classic stationary survival mode that lasts from 1 AM to 6 AM. Maybe as an unlockable bonus or as a minigame in one of the many arcades Steelwool has said that is in the game. I feel that this would be a great inclusion to give us that classic gameplay without having to revolve the entire game around it like almost every other entry. Other than that, I think the gameplay is going to be a mixture of Outlast and Resident Evil 4. Okay, hear me out on this one. Outlast is a game known for not having defense against the monsters that are hunting you down. The only thing that helps you out in this game is your night vision camera. Although I believe that there will be a few creative ways to defend yourself in the game, they will probably mostly be passive, besides maybe having a flashlight or a taser to stun Vanny or the animatronics. The reason why I say that there may be similarities to Resident Evil 4, and simply Resident Evil in general, comes from the supposed currency system that we seem to have. This game will probably give us certain items, upgrades, and maybe even keys to unlock certain areas in the mall that may be optional. Although a shop makes a lot of sense for a game about being inside a mall, I just really hope that Steelwool will execute it properly and not have it be a mess of pointless upgrades like a lot of modern AAA games do with overly complicated skill trees that add nothing but frustration on my end. I wish you were a good game. Anyways, with my gameplay predictions out of the way, let's talk about story. Security Breach will do either one of two things. It may build upon the lore in a constructive way, answering questions of the past, or it will pull a Help Wanted and completely jump the shark even more than the series already has. I think it's safe to assume that Fredbear's Family Diner will also be shown off at some point in this game, whether it be a flashback sequence, or some dumb time travel that is already potentially canon, but not really because only certain aspects of the books are canon and others are not, because that's just how Scott works. The final boss will obviously be Afton, and I am confident in saying that he will be a final boss because Steelwool has hinted there being boss battles in the Dawko interview, so that's pretty exciting. I mean, we all saw this clip of Monty and collectively thought that this was a boss battle opening anyways. I'm going to go on a whim and say that there aren't going to be any cinematic cutscenes, and that every cutscene will be from Gregory's perspective. I feel shots like this from the trailer were tailor-made for it, and we won't be seeing things like this in the actual game. FNaF is a very unpredictable series when it comes to direction that the story goes, but with hints that we've been getting through the Fazbear Frights novels, the theory of Elizabeth Afton showing back up wouldn't be that far-fetched, I'd say. There's definitely going to be a scene where we find out that Vanny is being mind-controlled by Afton and that we have a choice to save her and stuff. One thing I am very keen on, though, is that William will finally die at the end of this game. We get it, he always comes back. But this guy has been the main antagonist of the series for 7 years now. We need a break. That's not to say I don't like William, I just want new villains, which is why the character of Vanny is so interesting to me. I think it's also safe to assume that we will see some sort of Afton amalgamation creature that was teased in the book and possibly back in February in the second trailer. Look, I am very aware that the series hardly takes its reality seriously anymore with people being able to upload their souls into the internet and stuff, but just as long as the time-traveling ball pit doesn't come into the mainline continuity, all will be well. I really feel that Help Wanted definitely set the story beats in a wrong direction, and a lot of the liberties that game took in the story were just needlessly confusing and unnecessary. Five Nights at Freddy's the game doesn't need to exist in the universe while also simultaneously being the exact events of what actually happened at the same time. Either some serious retconning needs to start happening, or this game will hopefully clean up a lot of the stupid story beats that Help Wanted introduced. I just really want there to be less confusion about this whole rogue indie dev thing. This game is going to undeniably be the biggest leap forward for the series so far, which should be exciting as much as it should be worrying. FNaF has obviously opted to go in this direction of horror that pulls its punches and has a lot of humor ever since FNaF 6, and although I don't really like this approach as much as One to Sister Location, it definitely has shown to be successful in its own right. I mean, whether you want to admit it or not, the series is mainly marketed to children. The impact that this game will have if it's good will be tremendous. The series moving forward will be bigger than we could ever imagine. Games going forward in the future of the series will be completely overhauled, and we will have basically ditched its core formula of watching cameras and closing doors. And after almost 8 years of that, I think that this will be a welcome change of pace. But if the game is bad, it could also mean awful things for the series going forward. Like I mentioned earlier, this game is going to be bar none the most ambitious thing the series has done up to this point. If it isn't executed properly, has major bugs and glitches that affect gameplay, bad writing, and worst of all, just turns out to be boring, we can have a hit to this franchise that can potentially be as hard as Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. And yes, I know, Scott and Steelwool have been very keen on making this a quality product. They have delayed and delayed again to the fandom's dismay. But hopefully in the end, this game will have proved those delays to be needed, and this game will drop as one of the best of 2021. Although I definitely think that you should be worried for its launch to a degree, despite what I've been saying, don't let any of this dampen your hype and fulfillment for the launch of this game after almost 3 years of waiting. Anyways, here are my last minute predictions. Cassidy will show up in some way in this game. Their whereabouts have been ambiguous throughout the main continuity ever since Ultimate Custom Night, and I feel that they have been lurking in the shadows the entire time waiting to strike. The cleaning bots will be enemies that will actually damage you instead of being one-shot kill jumpscare enemies, much like how the main 4 and Vanny will probably work. I know Steelwool has hinted that they will work like alarm systems, but I feel that they will also have a secondary function of being more offensive enemies as well. The game will have a bonus mode where you can explore the mall once you beat the game that will allow you to do just the fun activities without having to worry about being hunted. And finally, the mall was built on the old grounds of Fredbear's Family Diner, and we will be able to explore the old diner in some capacity for the very first time in a 3D environment. Other than that, I have nothing else to say other than see you on the 16th. Good night, everybody, and see ya.